The only thing worse than getting no response to your query is getting an instant rejection. Let's talk about why this happens, what it might mean, and what you as the author should do in this situation. For my new viewers, this is my weekly Ask Alyssa Anything session where I pop into the comments and respond to things you've asked about your publishing and writing journey. I know that this process is so subjective and can be difficult at times, and I want to do everything I can to help you through it. Our question today is all about these instant form rejections, which I know are the bane of any querying author's existence. So let's get right into it. Hi, Alyssa. Are agencies employing AI or scanning software to feed queries through? I submitted a query letter and the first 25 pages per the agency's submission guidelines and fully expected the 8-week turnaround quoted on their site, but much to my dismay, was sent a form rejection within 48 hours. I'm certain that all of my material sent wasn't read and analyzed that fast, which is why I ask. Or do some agencies read the plot paragraph of a letter and make an immediate judgment regardless if they asked for pages also? Thank you for your time and help to all us newbies. While it does typically take weeks or months for an agent to respond to a query, it could be the case that you get a response much sooner than their stated timeframe. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing or a red flag you should be concerned about. Every agent works through their query inbox differently. It could be that the agent you queried just so happened to have caught up on their inbox at the time that you sent their query, and that's why you got such a fast response. In fact, during the summer, the publishing industry typically is a bit slower, and some agents use this time to catch up on their queries. Alternatively, some agents review their queries based on genre. So it could be that they were going through their queries and your genre happened to be the genre they were reviewing at that given time, and that's why they got back to you so much faster than their stated response time. Query Tracker has a super helpful tool that helps you see where you are in an agent's queue, and you can see other authors who are also querying and if they've gotten a response yet. So that can also help you get some insight into how an agent might be working through their queue. It's not going to give you every answer as to how they're working through their queries and certainly not why they're rejecting certain queries over others, but it still could be helpful to see what other authors who are querying that agent have experienced in terms of response time. Part of this question was also about if 48 hours was enough time for an agent to comprehensively review a query. In my experience, yes, this is enough time for an agent to review a query and determine whether or not they want to move forward with it. Agents will typically spend a minimum of a few minutes looking at a query letter, but will of course spend longer depending on how deep into the sample pages that they go and depending on how many sample pages they request as part of the query. Some agents will review the sample pages no matter what they see in the query letter. Some even jump down into the sample pages first before reviewing much of the query letter, if any of it, while other agents only will review the sample pages if they liked what they read in the query letter, especially the blurb section. Also keep in mind that agents aren't necessarily reviewing all of the sample pages that they request. If they read the first page and it doesn't hook them or interest them, then they're not going to continue reading all the way to the end of the excerpt. You also asked if the quick response time could indicate that an agent is using an AI software or a scanner of some kind to get through their queries. I personally have not heard of any agents who are using this type of automated query review tool. And in my view, if agents are not interested in reviewing queries, then they would just close to queries and wouldn't accept them to begin with. That said, agents do often have their assistant or intern do first pass reviews of their queries. And this was the role I had at the agency that I worked at. These assistants and interns are trained in the agent's taste and are trained in what to look for in queries in ways that I don't think an AI software could replicate at this point. Also, using some type of software to review queries would likely not be received positively across the industry because the traditional publishing industry as a whole is quite skeptical of AI and is trying to put protections in place for authors and publishers. So let's summarize what could have happened here for your query to have gotten rejected in 48 hours. It could be that the genre wasn't in the agent's area of interest at the moment, and that led them to very quickly reject the query. This is the most common reason why queries get rejected. Another reason could be that the agent reviewed the query letter and, based on the blurb and description of your book, did not want to move forward into the sample pages and then quickly reject it. Finally, it could be that the agent did review everything you sent them in full and determined that it just wasn't the right fit for them. Ultimately, what do I recommend doing in this situation? Brush it off and just keep going. Querying is about casting a wide net and seeing which agents bite. And if this agent rejected you, then that ultimately means that they weren't the right agent for you. So really try not to dwell too much on it. If you have a question you'd like to ask, drop me a comment here and it will be added to my queue for my next AAA session. I also have a free resource waiting for you in the description. It is called my Story Self-Assessment Worksheet. It's a quiz I designed to help you see your work in progress in a new light and take it to the next level by knowing exactly what to target with your revisions. Downloading that's also going to opt you in to my newsletter Chapter Break, where I'm publishing exclusive interviews with literary agents and best-selling authors and providing anecdotes from my experience as a professional developmental book editor. The link to check out Chapter Break is also in the description. Before you head out, if you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing so you don't miss out on all of my other videos, which I post weekly. Thanks so much for watching and happy writing.